We started this podcast, Be It Till You See It, because we realized that there was a hole between how do you get from point A to point B. What we found is that there's a lot of podcasts out there that talk about this kind of stuff, but then they leave out the details and the action items.
Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Lesley Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. Today's going to be a little bit different from our typical Thursday episode. My name is Brad Crowell. I'm the co-host of the pod here, along with Lesley, as I'm sure you're very well aware. But if you're new, welcome. We started this podcast, Be It Till You See It, because we realized that there was a hole between, how do you get from point A to point B, where you're currently doing this thing. It's been this thing that you have just, I don't know, whether you've fallen into it or it's a career that you decided to do or whatever it might be, but now it's not satisfying anymore and you want to be somewhere else. How do you get to that other point while you're still doing what you're currently doing? And what we found is that there's a lot of podcasts out there that talk about this kind of stuff, but then they leave out the details and the action items and how people can actually get that ball rolling for themselves. For example, and then I went and I got $1 million investment and I started my company. And it's like, well, how did you go get the $1 million investment? That's kind of important, right? So when we sat down to visualize what the Be It pod would be all about, it would be creating a platform where we could interview amazing guests and we could ask them how they are being it till they see it in their life, and then how they can share some tips and advice with you that you can use today, right now, taking action on right now. And I'm going to share a little bit with you today about how I have been being it till I see it in my own life this year, 2024. And then I've got a little bit of advice for you as well, based on what I've been working on. So, I think that it's super important that we take some time to sit down and think about this stuff. For example, prepping for this podcast, I sat down and I just had to think, and I had to reflect on my own life, like the actions I've been taking and the things that I've been doing. And we don't do that very often. It's funny how we just get caught up in maintaining the day-to-day, but we never spend time working on ourselves, right? As a business coach, Les and I often are talking to our clients and we say, hey, you want to make sure you're working on your business instead of just in your business, right? And so what we consider working in your business is anything that is maintaining what you've already created, done, built, sold, etc., right? So if you've got a studio, Pilates studio, let's say, and you've got clients coming in the door and you're teaching those clients, that would be maintenance. That is working in your business, not working on your business. Working on your business might be, I need to bring in new clients. I'm going to start a newsletter for my clients so that I can help them, equip them with the information that they need to share with the world what we're doing in this amazing corner of it, right? And so I need to figure out how to set that up. I need to figure out how to, what is the automations, the tech that's involved with this? And then I need to write those things, and then I need to send that email, right? That would be working on your business. You're not maintaining the thing that you've already sold. And it's so easy to understand that concept when it comes to business, but why don't we ever apply that same thing to our personal life, right? If we've got a family and we've got kids and we've got a job and we get up and we got a routine and we do our day to day, but then at night our routine has been you come home, you cook dinner, you finally get a chance to sit down, you watch an episode on Netflix or something, and you drink a beer and you go to bed, and then you get up the next day and you just do it over and over again, right? We didn't leave ourselves time in a day to work on ourselves. We've been working in our life, but we've not been working on our life. So I think it's very important that we set time time aside to do that. So actually, I'm already like way ahead of myself in my Be It action items for you, but I wanted to just discuss a little bit about the concept behind the pod, what we're doing, why we do it, and how we do it too. So, but let's get into it a little bit. I wanted to share with you a little bit about me. All right, welcome back. So there are two areas where I wanted to share about my life where I have been being it till I've been seeing it. And one is professional life and the other is personal life. So let's first talk about professional life. So let me share this with you. Let me set the scene. This year, we decided, last year was so hectic and crazy. We were like, 2024, we're not going to travel. We are going to do our best to sit still, to be still, because we know that when we are in one place and we're not interrupting ourselves and we're not changing our routine all the time, we can really, really grow our business. When we travel, we end up having to back burner the working on the business, like I was just saying a little bit ago. Then we're only doing the maintenance. We're only, like we've got amazing clients and we love to serve them and all those things, but we still need to set aside dedicated time to work on the business where we get to move it forward and maybe bring in new clients or start a new program or change an existing program or something like that. We decided we constantly interrupted by travel, which is something that we love to do. And eventually what we would only love to do, like someday we want to be investing in companies and traveling. Travel is my drug of choice. It is absolutely my favorite thing to do, but I recognize right now it can be in the way, right? The second thing that we really wanted to change with our professional goals, and me specifically, was I wanted to have a very clear definition of what it means to be the CEO, what my job role actually is. And for anyone else out there, who is an entrepreneur, a small business owner like we are, you end up doing all the things, every single thing. You do everything from cleaning the space to every single step of the business. Obviously, we created it from start to finish. So here's the beauty on that. The beauty around that is that I understand every single part of the business. The problem is I can do every single part of the business, right? And that actually leads to issues, because should I be doing all these parts of the business that I created over the years, or should I be giving them to other people? And what I found is that I'm still doing stuff that at this point in the game should be done by somebody else. And what it's doing is it's actually restricting me from working on the business again, to grow the business, because I'm working in the business, because maybe I'm just good at the thing. I feel safe doing it. I feel productive doing it. I enjoy doing it, all those kinds of things. The reality, though, is that somebody else should be doing that, because my time, attention, my mind should be put towards how do I bring in more sales? How do I connect with another company that we can work with? How do we, partner up some way with some other organization or whatever, so that we can grow exponentially, instead of me building a website or me writing an email or me whatever, which is still important to do. But again, it's in the business, not on, right? And so what I realized is that there's no actual clear definition of my role. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Who am I? When I look at my team, I should easily be able to say, I don't want to do the not my job thing. That's not the point of this. But I do want to say, this is what I'm going to work on. And what that means is that all these things I've been doing need to be distributed amongst the team to other people. And so what the whole goal has been is, like, if we clearly define our job roles, then we can also go down the line and we can be defining everyone's job roles, so that there's clarity, there's understanding, people understand what the goal is of their position, what they're doing, why they're doing it, all those kinds of things. And it allows me the freedom to also, as the owner, not get involved when it's not something that I should be focusing on, because my focus should be on something else. So the reason that we want to do this is that we really want to grow our company. We want to grow. We want to touch 100,000 people's lives with Pilates, right? And to date, right now, I can tell you, over the years, we are about 15% of the way, right? We have had, I don't know, maybe it's 15, 16, whatever, 1,000 people come through our programs, our memberships, whether, and that could have been a few years ago, or maybe they're still members now. And that's really, really exciting. But how do we get way bigger because we believe wholeheartedly that Pilates makes better humans. It makes better people. It allows you to do life better. When you feel good about yourself, you are going to be better for the people that are in your lives, the people that you're serving, that you're helping, that you're loving, that you're working with, all those things. It's going to make you better because you feel good in your own body. You feel good in your own mind, right? So that is why we have this epic, huge goal that's like, wow, that's a really amazing and exciting goal. And we're on the way there, right? So that's the big goal for us. So the next question is, what did I do to take action? What did I do to put these things into play so that, one, we could reduce travel, and two, we could really define our internal roles, which will have that trickle-down effect. So the first thing is, right away, at the beginning of the year, we stopped booking ourselves for weekend trips. We realized as much as it's exciting to go do things like fly somewhere for 3 days and teach a bunch of workshops and then fly home and make money doing it, which is really important and exciting and necessary, the reality is that it's just simply a distraction, right? There are better ways for us to make that money than maybe we fly to somewhere to teach a workshop for a few days. Better is the wrong word. There are better for our company ways. What if we took that time and energy and focus and we said, how can we bring in more people to get us to that 100,000 person goal to make that money instead? And we forced ourselves to make the money that way, right? Think about that, because it's a little bit scary. I need that money now, right? And there's an opportunity right here in front of me where someone could pay me money. But I realize it's actually, while it would be a lot of fun and it's amazing, it's also a distraction from the overall goal, right? And so we stopped booking ourselves for these weekend trips, although those always happen in the future, right? So there's a little bit of an irony here, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But the second thing is we sat down, Lesley and I sat down, and we had a full-blown debrief between the two of us on like, what do I actually want to be doing? What do I actually want to be doing with my day, my time? And in this case, it was really challenging. We had this conversation and we went back and forth, and then we thought we had it figured out. And then we have a coach ourselves. We then sat down later with our coach and we said, hey, this is what we're thinking. And from that, we realized actually even the things that we thought that we wanted to be doing in our business to help us move it forward, no, there are even parts of that we should be giving to our team. And we should shift really into this idea of how do we become an owner instead of an operator in the business, right? And that was another amazingly challenging conversation. And it allowed us to kind of shift things and tweak things a little bit more. And this has been a multiple months conversation. Y'all think, like I thought it was going to be, hey, we'll just get it done and no big deal. Here we go. And then it'll be a trickle down effect to our whole team. No, we've been working on it for months to really dial this in and get this understood correctly. If we're not intentional about it, we'll just keep letting it go on and on and on. So we have put a deadline on that for us to actually understand when we're going to be, how do we have this like concretely solidified. And then we're going to write our own job descriptions as if we were hiring ourselves. Hey, we're looking for a CEO who is this, and these are the expectations of the role. They're going to do these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then these are the qualifications of the person that we would want in the role, A, B, C, D, E. And then, you'd be joining a team. So we're literally going to write a job posting for me, even though I already have the role. And then we're going to do the same thing for Lesley. And then we're going to go down the line. We're going to do that for each person on our team, right? So that's what we've been doing to take action. And a little bit of obstacles and challenges that we've had. First off, I said we'd talk about it in a minute. The travel, even though we decided, great, awesome, we're going to stop doing those weekend gigs. The irony is that we had already booked ourselves. Basically, most of 2024 was already booked before we made the decision to slow down our travel or stop traveling. And, don't worry, we're not going to stop our tours. We're not going to stop our retreats. But it's just the smaller, quick trips, they get in the way. So we've been really reducing those. But we had so much travel already booked. It's now June, and we hadn't actually, this will be the first month that we're actually staying put the entire year, which is amazing to me that it's happened this way. Secondly, it's hard, like for the internal roles, it's actually hard to know what you want to be doing versus what you should be doing, or the other way around, what you should be doing versus what you want to be doing. Like you feel like you should be doing all these things and you might not want to be doing them, but you still feel like you have to, right? And when we were talking with our coach about owner versus operator, she really pushed us hard on this because She's like, yeah, okay, maybe you can do that and you feel like you should be doing that, but that's not something that an owner of a business would do. Like an owner, looks at it and says, this is my company. I'm not even involved in the day-to-day. Really what I'm doing is I'm helping connect the dots with other companies and then introducing those people to my team so that they can work out the details and do all these kinds of things, right? And it's like such a different way of envisioning the role, like for example, here's another great example. We have a client who is taking a full-time job, and it has nothing to do with Pilates, this full-time job, but she owns a studio. And so she is being forced into being this role of an operator, out of the role of being the operator and into the role of being the owner, right? And it feels way different, right? Even like her life is not going to be 24/7 Pilates anymore, but she will be running her team, and she'll still be involved and she'll still teach 1 or 2 classes a week, but instead of it being like full schedule teaching Pilates, she's shifting into this other role. And so there's an interesting opportunity here for her to actually become the owner of the business and not be involved in the minutia of the decision-making of the day-to-day, right? And on a grander scale, that's what we've been trying to do for ourselves too. So let's talk a little bit about like results and how it's been going so far. So for example, with the travel, we love going to Cambodia. We obviously have a place there. It's one of our favorite things to do. We have an amazing group of people coming with us at the end of this year. And we had an opportunity to teach in Indonesia, in Jakarta, and another opportunity to teach in India. And we were trying to bolt those on to the end of the Cambodia Pilates retreat. And after we've been trying to negotiate things, figure things out. We put a presentation together. We did all this effort. And then we sat down and realized this would be so cool, amazing. I've never been to Indonesia. I would love to go to Jakarta. It'd be so cool. I've never been to India. I've always wanted to go there. But this is the wrong time to do these things. And even though that opportunity is there, we should not do this. We should actually come back home, be with our dogs, get back to work and focus. And again, make our current business work better, bring in more money the way that we are building this business instead of taking this side trip to travel to these other amazing, exotic, incredible, places. And so that's one example. We already made that decision. And so we're going to be doing our Cambodia retreat and then coming home. Also, as I mentioned, this year, June and July, it's like the first 2 months of the year that we'll actually be home more than the rest of the year, which is really exciting. It's actually going to allow us, I think, to get in the groove and help me with one of my personal goals, which I'll talk about next. This has made me feel, excited and confident, right? Because we have started to see the business shifting away from the one-off travels here and there, bam, bam, bam. It's forced us to focus on our membership for OPC. It's forced us to really pay attention to how we're doing things, why we're doing things, reorganize things. And it's given me a lot of confidence because we've actually been able to switch our income out and away from that other income stream to our business, which is great because that means a larger community. That means we're touching more people's lives with Pilates. It's allowing us to see this bigger picture and get to that 100,000 person goal. Another thing is we've been really thinking, how can we do some non-travel opportunities, such as, for example, we just finished summer camp. OPC had summer camp in the beginning of June, and it was amazing. It was amazing. We had hundreds of people with 14 teachers from all around the world, and we had this incredible experience where Lesley and I stayed home, and we got a chance to still bring Pilates to the world. And we had participants from all over the place, Europe to Australia. It was incredible. So those kinds of things, now that we're starting to see, wow, we can realize our overall goal and reduce our travel. That's super cool. Okay, cool. Let's talk about that personal development, right? So that's the second part of this episode here. So let me just lay this out for you. Honestly, in my personal life, the thing that I really wanted to change is sleep. And this is something you've probably heard me talk about before. I always told myself I'd sleep when I'm dead. And I literally ended up in the hospital when I was in college because I didn't sleep enough. I was supposed to shake Aretha Franklin's hand, but I never did. I never got the chance to walk across the stage during my graduation ceremony because I ended up in the ER instead. I found myself negotiating with the doctors. Well, how much sleep is enough sleep? How much sleep do I have to get, right? And they told me, you absolutely have to get 6 hours of sleep in order for your body to function. And I don't know, I think the guy made it up on the spot, but my parents were standing right there and they said, you can't drive a car unless you got 6 hours of sleep that night. And I was fresh out of college, so I didn't even have a car. And I was like, damn it. I have to go sleep 6 hours now, right? And my whole life I've been like, all right, I have to get 6 hours. I have to get 6 hours. Well, I made this decision. What would it be like if I got 7 hours, right? And I found it really challenging to do. First off, it's a decision that I had to make. And second off, I have to actually hold to a schedule, which is not my forte. And, I have to want to shut my brain down and go to sleep, right? But what I do know is that it will make me feel better during the day when I have a solid night's sleep and my body can get into this rhythm, right? So here's a couple actions I've taken to start to put this into place. First off, we obviously have talked about this as well, but we have an Aura ring like mine. It allows me to track the sleep. And it actually tells me like, hey, take it easy today or whatever, because while you were in bed for 6 hours or 8 hours or whatever, you only slept for 5 and you toss and turns, you got up 4 times, whatever. But this is a helpful tool to actually monitor my sleep and see the results tangibly. So I actually I made this decision. I've been a night owl my entire life, and there's only been one time consistently in my life over a couple year period where I was like in bed by midnight, and that was when I was working for someone else. And that's because I would get up at 6, I'd be in yoga class at 6:30, I'd be in the office by 8:30 before everybody got there so I could get my thoughts organized for the day. Everything started at 9, and I did that for many years. And as soon as I left that job and I started working for myself, that midnight sleep time went out the window, and I started staying up till 3, 4 in the morning just to work and to, have time for myself. So I decided recently, all right, I'm going to set a hard deadline for 1 a.m. All right, 1 a.m. And then I'm going to get up at 8. So this is my 7-hour window. So that means if I'm going to be asleep by 1 a.m., that means I'm actually closing my eyes at like 12:50, right? So in order to do that means I need to work backwards from there. Right. So I've also something else I've taken action on here is I've been reorganizing our team workflow. So this really does connect to the professional side of things in this conversation with this pod. We have a lot of our team members live all over the world, and we have a handful of them who live in Southeast Asia, and I'm often on calls with them, and they're amazing people, and I've really been working with most of them for years, and it's been awesome, and I enjoy those conversations with them. But sometimes my phone calls start at 9:30 and I'm not finished until 1 a.m. Right? Well, that's going to obviously have to shift. But I also then wake up in the morning and I have another group of calls in the morning for more people in Southeast Asia in my AM. And I've realized like there's got to be a better way to do this. So we are bringing one of the people who are on our team already. We're going to shift the role so that she can be the point person for everyone who is in Southeast Asia. That is going to allow me to have more consistent phone calls, fewer phone calls, and then she is a decision maker already. She can be the decision maker for the other team members that are there. And then that allows her, like she and I can talk, we can make the decisions together, but it reduces the amount of phone calls that I'm on. It reduces the morning, night kind of thing that I've got going on. And that frees up a lot more of my time to have my morning back, because I'd also love to drink my coffee and sit out in the sun for a few minutes before I get things going. And often that gets interrupted when I have calls first thing, right? So that's that hasn't been employed yet, but we've been discussing it, trying to figure out how it's going to work. But I'm excited about this. I'm hopeful about this. One obstacle or challenge that I've faced while trying to overcome to make these shifts are we have to give room in the schedule of our team member to be able to take on these calls, right? Obviously, she works for us full time and is busy. And so we have to bring someone for her to train so that she can shift away from doing some of the things she's been doing so that she can then manage the other group of people. right? And that takes time, right? Second thing is that obviously travel always messes up my schedule when it comes to sleeping. And, the fact that people are in Asia, that has been an obstacle as well, but we're working through it. We're trying to figure those things out. As far as results go, I've already begun doing this. I've already started going to bed, like being in bed at 12:30, so that I can read my book a little bit and wind down and be asleep by 1, and then getting up at 8. And it has made me feel better. I have started to see a difference with my Oura ring scores, how I just feel throughout the day, right? And then I think it's shifting my mindset. It's been better in my personal life when I know that this is just an experience that I've had over time. When I don't sleep consistently and I don't sleep well, I'm more stressed out. I have the stories that I tell myself in my head are way more stressful. We're going to fuck it all up. The house is going to explode. The dogs are going to run away, whatever the stories are. Like when I don't sleep, all those that fear story is a lot more prominent. It's a lot stronger. When I'm consistent with my sleep, I feel more relaxed, more calm, less anxious. And I've started to feel that already this year, and that's been awesome. Despite the travel interrupting things, because I've made this decision, it's time in my life to shift this. It's made me feel a lot better. And consequently, that's given me a lot more confidence around stability, which is my word for the year, was my word for last year because I didn't accomplish it, right? So stability, money, business growth, personal time, getting my personal time back. So it's been really exciting to see. I have this idea for this like ideal life, this ideal schedule, which is what I coach people on all the time. It's really amazing to start to see that happening in my own life. So yeah, high level here, y'all. Being it till you see it takes thought. It takes time. It takes focus. You actually have to sit down and conceptualize what it is that you want, right? And then figure out how you're going to get there. I think that's my biggest takeaway here. These are my beit action items for you. Bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items is you need to take a moment. You need to sit down, pull out a pen and paper, and I want you to actually imagine what would be an ideal daily schedule for you, or an ideal schedule, that is not like, oh yeah, I'll get to this, and this is not my 5-year goal. This is like, what could life look like today, now for you, that would be a lot more enjoyable, right? Here's a great example. I actually want to wake up at 8 a.m. I want to jump into the cold plunge because we got a cold plunge going. And then I want to make a coffee. While I'm making my coffee, I'm going to do my 5 push-ups. Then I'm going to go with my coffee. I'm going to sit out in the sunshine. I'm going to get 15 minutes of sunshine or 30 minutes or whatever. I'm going to drink my coffee while I'm just perusing my updates for the day, which are like, checking Slack or checking my project management tool, which is Monday, or checking my email or whatever, where I can get caught up on what's happened, right? Before I then go inside and then I sit down and start working. And I want that to be my daily routine. And it's like relaxing and enjoyable. It's a great way to, figure out what's happened while I was away from the office. I get some sunshine while I'm at it. And that's what I want my mornings to be. But that gets interrupted when A, I'm on the road, or B, I've got phone calls first thing in the morning. And so, what I want for you is, what could life be like for you? What could your schedule be like for you? I want you to actually imagine it. Pretend that you don't have commitments, and then work your commitments in after the fact. What can you do? How can you work these things into your life in a different way? Because we do the things we're doing today by default. Right? Most likely because we didn't think about it. It wasn't intentional. It just is what happened, and therefore it's what we do. And that's not benefiting you. That's not benefiting it certainly hasn't been benefiting me, right? And then now thinking, wow, what would I want my morning to be like if I had my ideal morning, my ideal schedule? And then how can I make that happen? And then working backwards from there. So that's for you. These are your action items. First off, envision what it could be like. Write it down. I want you to literally write it down. Secondly, then, in order to make that a reality, what actions do you need to change, take, do, be? What is it that has to shift so that you can get your ideal schedule into place? right? So Lesley and I are so grateful for you to being a listener of this pod. And, Be It Till You See It is something that we are living ourselves. We're constantly shifting, changing, growing on purpose ourselves. And so we really encourage you to be reflective in your own life. And, how do you work on your life instead of just working, living in your life? And so, I hope that this podcast is bringing you a little bit of clarity and joy and inspiration in your day. If it is, please share this episode or share this podcast with somebody that you know. It's the only way that we grow, and it's it's what you can do. It's what you guys could do for us, right? That or leave us a review. So we'd be so grateful for those things. And until next time, be it till you see it. Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of the Bloom Podcast Network. If you want to leave us a message or a question that we might read on another episode, you can text us at +1 310 905 5534 or send a DM on Instagram at BeItPod.
It's written, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
It is transcribed, produced, and edited by the Epic team at Diseño.co.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to Melissa Solomon for creating our visuals.
Also to Angelina Herrico for adding all of our content to our website. And finally, to Meredith Root for keeping us all on point and on time.